Und ich glaube, das kann ganz spannend sein. Wir haben viele tolle Veranstaltungen. Aber jetzt habe ich mal genug gequatscht und wir wollen in diesen ersten Brand Vision Summit gehen. Und lasst uns zum ersten Speaker kommen, den wir quasi extra aus Belgien eingeflogen haben. Also man könnte fast sagen eingeflogen. Also er ist live dabei. Das ist wieder das Schöne an Online. Wir haben nämlich, und jetzt switche ich nämlich in Englisch, der Prime Minister of the Ministry of World Domination hier zu Gast. Und es ist Polle de Maagt. Polle de Maagt was a speaker 2 years ago at a brand, an afterwork breeze of the Brand Club Austria, and it was really amazing. And he missed his flight because he was so amazed too, because of the crowd and all the questions, and he loved to stay here with us. And I'm really it's really awesome that Polle is here with us to have this keynote. Polle is a freelance consultant for brand strategy, and he worked for international clients like Nike, KLM, Philips, SAP, Unilever, Vodafone, and many, many others. With his projects, he won Webby Awards, Cannes Lions, and many more awards. What's really interesting about Polle is that he has not ordered food in a restaurant for the last 4 years. He always asks the chef or waiter to choose for him to surprise him, after the Japanese habit of omakase. Please welcome Polle de Maagt. Applause.
Great, thank you so much, and thanks so much for having me. It's Charlotte. I couldn't wish for a better introduction as well. Indeed, last time I was so enthusiastic by all of you that I missed my flight. I chose to miss a flight because I had such amazing conversation with many of you, and I'm really happy that we have some more time today. And like I said, with the promotion video we made, I think it's really the time that all of us come together and talk. Like Charlotte said before, indeed, alone you go faster, together you go further. And I think if there's one moment in time where we need each other as professionals, but also our customer, then it is this time. So it's not only for me that we need to talk, it's really important that we start to act as well. So briefly about me, my name is Polle. I am from the Netherlands. I live in Belgium because I met the most beautiful woman in the world, and she turned out to be Belgian, and she had me move to Belgium. And what I tried to do, I tried to change companies to do less advertising and do more for their customers. So less marketing, more product development, more customer service, etc., etc. And there was plenty of time to discuss that. I've worked for many different companies in the last couple of years. I've been so blessed to be working for companies like Nike, IKEA, etc., etc. And the last year, in the last months, I've mainly been working for KLM, the airline company, for Rituals, which is the perfume and product brand, and the Dutch Railways. And we'll briefly touch upon that in a second. Because, and that's an interesting gap, I think, interesting bridge to what we are talking about today. What I'm working on with the Dutch Railways is finding a way how we can make public transport both comfortable and safe for everyone again. Because obviously we cannot all together travel with the train anymore because that's not safe. We have to keep 1.5 meters distance. So we try everything we can, all apps, all LED screens, projections, all tricks we know in our toolkit, all marketing tricks, all communication tricks, all product design kits to try and if you can make the trains more safe. And it's an amazingly rewarding thing to be working on right now. And it will be similar to many of you who are struggling with completely new and interesting challenges there. And I think the most important for us there is, again, the togetherness. I've spent countless hours and weeks testing this with consumers, seeing how they feel, how their feelings evolved over the weeks, because at first they were really scared. Now they're a bit more okay to travel with the train, but how does this evolve? I need to do this with colleagues because I didn't know anything about train operation and train capacity. I need everyone. It is really about this togetherness here. Also, as a kind of quick disclaimer, this is a really personal story. There will be a lot of personal elements in there. I'm quite open and authentic in that. I'm totally fine with sharing that. Feel free if you have similar feelings or want to touch upon it later. Feel free to contact me. And that again is a bridge to the next slide. And please don't be alarmed by the next slide. But this was probably one of the low points and both the high points in my life. 1,677 days ago, I almost died. I had a kidney stone, and in itself, it's not too much of a problem. It's painful, as some of you might know. but that kidney stone ruptured my kidney, and fluid started to infecting all my intestines and even my lungs. So I was admitted to intensive care. I barely survived. It took me several weeks to recover from that. And I guess, and that is, I think it's an interesting red thread throughout the last couple of months. What doesn't kill you make you stronger. I took a lot of learnings from this. I think one of my key learning was creating more memories, and the concept of having the chef or the waiter choose in a restaurant is just like that. Because how would I know what the best thing on the menu is? The chef will know, and the waiter will know. How would I know what are the most beautiful places on earth? The best way is just to team up with the locals and see what is beautiful. So I've been traveling a lot, from the Kungsleden in Sweden to Kumano pilgrimage in Japan. I've been walking through the desert in Jordan. I was planning to do Greenland this year, to hike 2 weeks in the wilderness of Greenland. That unfortunately is not possible, obviously. But using all these kind of things to create more beautiful memories. And on a smaller level, it's also creating more beautiful memories with my family. So we stopped using our iPhones and our iPads and our laptops on the weekends, because memories are not made behind iPhones and iPads. Memories are made when you're dancing in the rain, or when you're building castles from blankets, etc., etc. So really changing the way I think about it, and creating and collecting these kind of beautiful moments. And my second lesson is that I would take less bullshit. I had been attending so many long meetings, useless meetings. I had been doing so many projects that were politically jeopardized by people who had different political agendas. I promised myself, I don't know what time it is on my life clock. I have no idea how long I still have. I'm not gonna waste my time on these kind of things. So that makes me sometimes maybe a bit controversial, maybe a bit upfront also in how I speak. But my time is ticking, and I want to create as many memories as possible. I want to do as much for customers as possible before my time runs out. Then again, and I quickly acknowledged that earlier, these have been really difficult times, and these will be extremely difficult times. We're currently looking at an economic shrink, the economy shrinking somewhere between 5 and 10%. This will have immense ramifications for all of us. I think also what we're seeing now in the Netherlands and Belgium, where restaurants are finally opening up, that people are still hesitant to still go to restaurants because they don't feel like it, or it's not the same atmosphere, etc., etc. So the ramifications of what we've seen the last couple of weeks and months, we will be feeling that for the next couple of years. And to give you a small idea, the Dutch Railways is looking at a deficit of about 5 billion euros for the next 4 years. So these are insane amounts of money. That's just insane ramification in the next couple of years. But what I do love about this period of time is that it sparks a lot of creativity in many of us. It feels like many of us have been thinking, okay, when I feel sad, when I feel down, I just stop being sad and start being awesome. I just throw all my creativity, I throw all my co-creation, etc., into this problem and see what can happen. And some amazing things have been coming out of that. This is in the Netherlands and in Belgium, because we have to wear our mouthpieces there. A lot of fashion designers started doing that. And in the top right corner, my wife is wearing hers. And it was by a local designer, and she sold 3,000 masks in 2 hours. It's just insane what kind of creativity and what new kind of businesses start to emerge when people turn this negative thing into something positive. This is a restaurant I used to go in Amsterdam, who created like these really cool glass places near the river to actually eat and keep the distance there. Another amazing creative idea. This is our favorite restaurant in our neighborhood, and they completely switched from being a restaurant to pretty much doing date nights on delivery. So every 2 weeks, when my wife and I have our date night, we'll have this delivered. They have like specific kits for your date nights or for your brunches or whatever, just switching around and making something beautiful like this. This is another idea, because a lot of people won't be able to go on holidays in the Netherlands. So this was a company that's selling like packages to holidayify your street. So as a street or as a neighborhood or as a city, you can just buy a package with these fake grass, with some swimming pools in it, with some beach things, etc. in it, to make your normal street feel like a holiday street, which is like all this kind of cool creative stuff. And what I also like about the period of time is that a lot of us are sharing these struggles and are sharing these solutions. This is just one of the places, this COVID Innovations website, where a lot of people are sharing their solutions to the problems we are all facing. And then we're seeing in data just really interesting stuff. Since the start of coronavirus, washing machine sales has been up 1,900%. Like these strange sitting balls, which used to be really convenient, are up almost 9,000%. Boxing gloves, for whatever reason, are up 4,500%. Olive oil is up more than 1,100%. So it's really interesting to see how like really obscure categories start to grow really fast, which also poses really simple questions. So if you see this uptick suddenly, how do you keep this going? How do you build a long-term relationship with these kind of companies? And also, how do you stand out as an olive oil brand in between all these 1,100% extra selling olive oils? So it's quite interesting to see how to deal with that. And these simple questions, I think, are the questions we should ask as professionals. What is also really important here is to understand, so what is a signal and what is a noise? So what are the small changes that are temporary, and what are the bigger trends, the bigger changes that are going on there? And with some changes, I'm really happy. And although I'm really committed to an airline, I think we can all agree that it doesn't make sense that you would be able to fly from Vienna to Cyprus for 19 euro. That doesn't make any sense. So I do understand the discussion there is in Austria right now to cap that, I think, on 40 euros. I'm not sure exactly what turned out to be the politician turned out to do. I think this makes total sense. But there's so many elements, I think, in our daily lives that doesn't make any sense. Many of us don't know where our food is coming from. Many of us are just wasting water. We're wasting plastics. Many of us are just flying too much. Many of us are still struggling in how to deal with all these digital tools. When do we use which digital tools, and how do we balance that with our normal life? Also, how to balance our work and private life, if there is any balance at all. So there are really big questions that only became more prominent and only more problematic since we've been in the corona crisis. And it's really interesting to see for us professionals how we're going to deal with that in the coming period of time. And then there's digital transformation. I think a lot of people have been saying, wow, this coronavirus, this is the breakthrough of digital transformation. And not just any people. Forbes is saying that, Gartner is saying that, e-consultancy, a lot of people are saying coronavirus has been the breakthrough of digital transformation. And I'm pretty sure that Paul and Oliver later at the end of the session will be talking about that as well. It's really interesting. But it made me indeed feel, yeah, I think digital breakthrough, yes. These are just random workplaces from some of my friends. We've all used to doing this remotely. It's quite fantastic that we're actually being able to be in contact via Zoom this way. So yes, there is a lot of value. But really transformation, my feeling is if that meeting sucks before going on Zoom, they're even worse when you have them on Zoom on a regular basis. So if we're really transforming, then it is about making our meetings better rather than transforming them to Zoom. And it's pretty much the same for products as well. If they suck before going online, it's even worse when they're going online. And I think we're seeing then the communication as well, where a lot of companies are just communicating the same. I don't know really what to communicate in this context of the coronavirus, and just have blank vanilla ways of communicating how bad it is, how we should be all together, and how they are so human and customer-centric, blah, 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 blah. So it's really interesting to see there. And in general, customer relationship. Sorry, this is my wife, how she looks when I'm taking pictures of the food on date night. But even talking about customer relationships, are we really in a customer relationship? It often feels for me more that we're in a customer one-night stand than we're in a customer relationship. So it's really something to think about. If we're really building these relationships, and we'll be talking about it much more later today, I think we have a long way to go. So again, we need to talk. There are really big problems we have right now. There is a discussion between signal and noise. It's really us figuring out how to move forward. And the only way forward is doing this together by really well understanding what our customers want and need, and how this need may be evolved over time. Within the Dutch railways, we know that people won't be traveling 5 days a week like they would be doing up until the end of the year. So we have to change our products to that. It is also about experimenting. The only way to know if you're right is just doing it. Doing a lot of experiments, prototyping together with your customers, prototyping together with your colleagues to see what actually works. because what I feel, and it's really bad to say, I really feel that we have been abusing our marketing superpowers to fix the products and to fix the broken products and services of many of our brands. Yes, we're doing okay, but I think we as professionals are so good in marketing and communication that we made this suboptimal fix, which is obviously often the case, work for our customers. So what the problem here is that we say a lot as brands, we communicate a lot, there's a lot of advertising, a lot of things we promise, but there's a large gap between what we do. We say way more, we promise way more than we actually deliver. Whether it is about talking about building a customer relationship and really doing a customer one-night stand, up until saying we're so customer-centric and not doing that at all. There are many, many different examples. And I think during the Corona crisis, many of you will be disappointed either by your bank, by your telco, of other companies who just not delivered on a promise. And this is just even random influencers talking about this. They're saying actions show you who someone really is, words show you who they pretend to be. And I think it's really telling for a lot of brands that they're actually living up to this quote. And this is one of our former mentors saying, when you invest so much in conversations and not in your services, you end up spending your whole time having conversations about how shit your services are. And I think this is very much true for many bad interactions we've been having lately. And how does it impact us? It's quite interesting to see if you evolve, if you see how people looking at marketing evolved in the last couple of years. So, one second, my Siri is acting up. So this was a research several years ago where 80% of CEOs admit they do not fully trust and are not very impressed by the work done by marketeers. Which is even worse, I think, is an article by AdAge, I think last year, that more and more brands are ditching the CMO position for more wider commercial, product-driven, customer experience-driven propositions. This is quite interesting to see here. So there is an issue with our profession as well. And then it's not only about who we say we are as brand, it's not only how we do as brands, but also who we are as brand. Who are we in our culture? What is really the core of what we're doing there? And for me, that means that we need to move more towards marketing, from marketing to consumers to mattering to people. We really have to understand what are the issues there, what are the products and services to help it. And Gregor later today will be talking a lot of things about that, and he's way more brilliant and way more talkative than I am. So I'm really looking forward to that. But it's really, really important, I think, to understand there. And for me personally, if you indeed are able to balance this, what you say, what you do, and who you are, then it becomes the authentic relationship we have. Then it becomes a relationship, and then it becomes the human thing we're all striving for. And I think Andrea later, Gregor will be first, and then Andrea later will be zooming in a lot about these social relationships there. If you don't agree, Andrea, just wave or say no. You don't know. So for me, it's about answering and asking really, really simple questions. So how can we have these one-time customers buying olive oil come back? Where do we fit in people's habits? What are their real problems? How can we stop being irrelevant? And how can we truly delight them? Really simple question we should ask when we want to be better marketeers there. And for me, it is about not aiming for these big changes all the time. It's really about small things every day. So how can you build a more customer-centric culture within your company? And it might be about doing shorter meetings. It might be about starting every meeting with a customer story. It might be about just having your CEO call customers every day. It might be about really trying to prototype the first new product with your customers. As exciting and as scary as it might be, but please start doing these small things. So, summarizing, acknowledge there is a problem we're having right now. Figure out what the signal is and what the noise is, and please know you go faster alone, but together you go further. We have to do this together as professionals, but also together with the customers. So, again, hi, we need to act now. Hope you liked it, and amazing time the rest of the day. Thanks, guys.